This is news analysis coming to you live on Politics and Business Television Abuja. Good afternoon and many thanks for joining us. I am Omike Joseph Matthew. The headlines. NBA demands urgent action over Plateau killings. Metcom protests deportation of Nigerians from Mozambique. Violence erupts in South Africa over alleged Igbo king coronation. And on the foreign scene, Israel approves death penalty law for terror convicts amid global criticism. Details of these stories after the break. Do stay with us. The Nigerian Bar Association has condemned the killing in Jos during Palm Sunday, describing the attack as gruesome and unacceptable. NBA President Afam Osigwe said the incident, which led several people dead and others injured, reflects the worsening insecurity across the country, noting the tragedy was even more painful as it occurred on a sacred day meant for worship, peace, and reflection. The association warned that repeated violence without accountability is creating a culture of impunity and eroding public confidence in the government's ability to protect citizens. It stressed that when perpetrators evade justice, it sends a dangerous signal that human life is undervalued, leaving communities in fear and uncertainty. The NBA called on security agencies to swiftly arrest and prosecute those responsible, while urging both federal and state governments to strengthen security and improve intelligence gathering. It also extended condolences to victims' families and reaffirmed that protecting lives, as guaranteed under the Constitution, remains the primary duty of the government. Meanwhile, Caleb Mutwang confirmed that 28 people were killed and imposed a 48-hour curfew in Jos North as investigations continue. Suspected armed herdsmen have attacked Yaliwata in Benue State, injuring 2 residents in the latest incident. The community, which previously suffered a deadly assault in 2025 that killed over 200 people, came under renewed tension as the attackers reportedly entered the area with cattle and clashed with soldiers deployed for security. A local source said troops attempted to intercept the herders, but the situation escalated when the attackers opened fire while retreating after warning shots were fired. 2 residents were hit during the exchange. One woman suffered a gunshot wound to the hand, while another victim was shot in the leg. Both were rescued and evacuated for treatment by the Benue State Emergency Management Agency. Residents expressed growing fear over the resurgence of violence, warning that it could disrupt farming activities despite recent government support for agriculture. Community members say the persistent threats of attacks is preventing them from accessing their farms, raising concerns about safety and food production in the area. And still on insecurity, troops of Operation Hadinke successfully repelled an attack by Boko Haram ISWAP insurgents along the Burotai-Kamuya axis in Borno State while escorting travelers. The terrorists had attempted to abduct civilians in about 17 vehicles, but troops engaged them in a fierce battle, preventing the attack. According to the military spokesperson Sani Uba, a swift response by reinforcement forced the insurgents to abandon the abducted victims and flee. Over 150 civilians, including men, women, and children, were rescued and safely evacuated to Burotai for reunification with their families. However, during pursuit operations, troops encountered an improvised explosive device, leaving 5 personnel seriously injured and evacuated for treatment. The military commended the troops for their bravery, reaffirming its commitment to protecting civilians and maintaining pressure on terrorist groups in the region. To political matters now, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has formally recognized a faction of the People's Democratic Party aligned with the Nyesom Wike, updating its official records to reflect the party's leadership. Those recognized include Abdurrahman Mohammed as National Chairman and Samuel Anyanwu as National Secretary, emerging from a recent convention in Abuja where the party's National Working Committee was reconstituted. Meanwhile, the Federal High Court in Abuja restrained a rival faction led by Tanimu Turaki from accessing the PDP National Secretariat. Justice Joyce Abdulmalik ruled that the faction's earlier convention violated legal provisions and existing court orders, declaring its outcomes null and void. The court also directed security agencies to protect the Wike-backed faction's control of the Secretariat. In response, the Turaki-led group rejected the decision and has approached the Supreme Court to resolve the leadership crisis, accusing the ruling party of political interference. The dispute highlights deep divisions within the PDP after years of internal conflict, with both factions laying claim to legitimacy as the battle for control of the party continues in court. With the resignation deadline for political appointees seeking elective offices ahead of the 2027 elections, anticipation has grown over who will step down from government positions. The directive issued under the Independent National Electoral Commission timetable and backed by the Electoral Act requires all appointees to resign before participating in party primaries, triggering widespread speculation across political circles. So far, key resignations include the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tugal, who stepped down to contest the Bauchi state governorship, and the Minister of State for Humanitarian Affairs, Yusuf Sununu, who is seeking a senatorial seat in Kebbi. Several other officials, including board members and presidential aides, have also resigned to pursue various political ambitions in compliance with the directive. More resignations are expected as the deadline closes, with some ministers still consulting or reconsidering their ambitions amid political uncertainties. The development signals major realignments with the government and ruling party and is likely to lead to a cabinet reshuffle in the coming weeks as the political landscape ahead of 2027 continues to take shape. The Nigerians in Diaspora Commission has reaffirmed that 40 out of 42 Nigerians arrested in Mozambique have been deported, describing the process as inhumane and lacking due process. According to spokesperson Abdul Rahman Balogun, the deportees were returned to Nigeria in 3 batches between March 24 and 27 via international flights, while 2 individuals remain in Mozambique. The commission stated that those affected were allegedly arrested at their business locations despite having valid residency documents, detained for several days, and deported without formal charges. It also criticized Mozambican authorities for failing to notify or engage the Nigerian embassy during the process, adding that diplomatic efforts to intervene were ignored. One of the Nigerians still in Mozambique is reportedly married to a citizen, while the other was born in the country. Netcom further alleged that money was confiscated from the detainees and not returned, with additional funds reportedly withdrawn from their mobile applications. While Mozambican authorities claimed the arrests were part of immigration enforcement and cited documentation issues, many of the deportees insisted that they had valid permits, except for one individual whose visa had just expired. You're still watching news analysis right here on Politics and Business Television Abuja. Still to come, violence erupts in South Africa over alleged Igbo king coronation. Stay with us. Violent unrest has erupted in Eastern Cape Province following protests against the coronation of an Igbo traditional ruler. Demonstrations led by Action SA and local leaders quickly turned violent in Kunkumpo City, with protesters touching vehicles, looting foreign-owned shops, and clashing with police who intervened to restore order. The protests were driven by claims that the coronation violated South Africans' constitutional and traditional leadership structures. Action SA leader Atu Trulip described the move as unlawful, warning against any attempts to establish a foreign kingship in the province. Tensions escalated further after a stabbing incident allegedly involving foreign shop owners, leaving at least 2 people injured, while protesters issued threats of more violence if authorities fail to act. Amidst the crisis, the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission said it had not received official reports of attacks on Nigerians, while the Nigerian High Commission in Pretoria advised citizens to remain cautious, avoid large gatherings, and limit travel. Authorities continue efforts to verify incidents and prevent further escalation as tensions remain high. And to the world of business, Lagos has received 5 vessels carrying petrol and diesel, delivering a combined 95,000 metric tons of fuel to Apapa and Tinkan Island ports within 2 days. According to the Nigerian Port Authority, the shipment arrived between March 27 and March 29, with multiple vessels discharging premium motor spirit and automotive gas oil at key terminals. The arrivals come amid rising concerns about fuel supply stability, as oil marketers confirmed increased import activity and the expected return of fuel distribution operations at the port. The shipments included both petrol and diesel delivered through various jetties, signaling renewed efforts to boost supply across the country. The development follows the federal government's decision to lift its ban on fuel imports and approve new licenses to address a supply gap. Regulators cited geopolitical tensions in the Middle East as a key factor behind the shortfall, despite early assurances that local refining capacity could meet national demands. And to the foreign scene now, Israel's parliament, the Knesset, has passed a controversial law making the death penalty the default punishment for Palestinians convicted of deadly terror attacks. The bill, approved by 62 to 48 votes with support from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, mandates execution, usually by hanging, within 90 days, though delays of up to 180 days are allowed. The law was strongly backed by far-right figures, including National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, who argued it would deter future attacks. Supporters say it is necessary to stop a cycle where convicted attackers are later released and return to violence. However, opposition leaders and critics argue the law will not improve security and could instead damage Israel's international standing. The legislation has drawn widespread criticism, with European countries warning it could undermine democratic values, while the Palestinian Authority and Hamas condemned it as dangerous and unjust. Rights groups have also challenged the law in court, describing it as discriminatory, with Israel's Supreme Court expected to decide whether it should stand. And now to the world of sports. Let's now join Aroku Tom.
Good day, Nigeria, and welcome to your premier sports update on PMB TV. I'm Arako Tom. Today we are tracking the major showdown for the Super Eagles in Turkey and a massive shake-up in the world of African football that has the entire continent talking. First to Atlanta, Turkey, it's match day. The Super Eagles take on Jordan today in the final fixtures of their four-nation invitational tournament, but there's a late twist in the camp. Goalkeeper Maduka Okoye has been ruled out with a thigh injury. Omonia Nicosia's Francis Uzoho is expected to step between the ticks. Coach Eric Charles is also dealing with a depleted backline as Shemi Ajayi is sidelined with an injury and Bruno Oyunechi was granted leave following the birth of his child. Despite these absences, Nigeria is riding high after their 2-1 win over Iran last Friday. Kickoff is at 6:30 p.m. Nigerian time. Crossing over to our West African neighbors, Shocker Ghana has sacked head coach Otto Addo just 10 weeks before the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The Black Stars management terminated his contract this morning following a string of poor friendly results. With only 70 days until the world's biggest stage, Ghana is now in a frantic race to find a new leader. On the domestic front, the Nigeria Premier Football League is serving pure drama. Shooting Stars technical advisor Nudin Awero is heading his Warriors players after a massive 3-1 win over Rangers International in matchday 32. Meanwhile, heavy sanctions have hit Bender Insurance. The club has been fined 7 million naira and coach Kennedy Bobore has been slapped with a massive 17-match suspension following crowd violence during their clash with Plateau United. And keep your eyes on Lagos. The Harlem Globetrotters are arriving this week for a historic showcase at the Federal Palace Hotel starting April 3rd. Globally, fans are breathing a sigh of relief as a golf legend Tiger Woods was released on bail following a car crash in Florida over the weekend. And in table tennis, Nigeria's own Wahid Oshodi has been named to the World Table Tennis Board, a huge win for Nigerian Sports Administration. That's your PNB Global and Local Sports Wrap-Up for this Tuesday. I'm Arakotom. Stay with PNB TV for more news analysis.
All right, so welcome back. Thank you very much, Tom Aroko, for that sports update. And now to the focus of today. Now, today we're asking a critical question. With Africa opening up a $3.5 trillion market under AfCFTA, is Nigeria truly ready to seize the opportunity? Or are we still building the foundations? From digital payments to identity systems. The promise is huge, but so are the challenges. So joining me to discuss this very important issue this afternoon on Focus is Yushua Aliyu. Yushua Aliyu, good afternoon to you. Okay, can you please unmute? We can hardly hear you right now. Can you please unmute? Okay, good afternoon to you once more. I think we're having issue with the audio. Yes.
It's on me. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Yushua Aliyu. Of course, Yushua Aliyu is an economist, Abuja-based economist, and it's nice, having you this afternoon on the program. Now, it is the issue of the 3.5 trillion naira question. Well, after talking about the trade opportunity given to African countries, with this 3.5 trillion dollar this money actually deliver real growth for Nigerians?
Yes, under the provision of AfCFTA, Africa Continental Free Trade Area,
yes,
Nigeria is a strong member, and also Nigeria is among the founding members of the agreement. And I think for us to access that much resources is timely because the micro, small, medium enterprises, Nigeria controls 40%, 40 out of 100 of micro, small, medium enterprises in Africa belongs to Nigeria. So when you talk this number, and you also talk the digital platform, especially with the large number of population, Nigeria is trying to go into the agreement and also to begin to draw benefit from these funds.
Okay, now this agreement, I mean this proposal or this opportunity, I should say, will also happen in such a way that it will be like I mean there is an opportunity for a cross border transaction that will happen. So how can SMEs benefit from this in Nigeria?
The effort, the economic effort behind OPA is to allow trade between African states.
Yes.
Because it was observed that large resources are going out of Africa in terms of trade. But if you can consolidate our own gains and look at the prospect of our GDP and look at the emerging aspect of most of the economies in Africa, then it's need also coordinate the micro, medium, small enterprises to benefit from. Remember, the agreement does not break out a sort of limit to the transaction. But like I said initially, 40% of these SMEs are in Nigeria. And one of the problems they are facing is how to access funds. And with this opportunity, it is going to be a brighter future for those in Nigeria and around Africa, and also to continue to facilitate trade. Remember that the payment system, the Pan-Africa payment system, which is part of what is going to be designed to coordinate this activity, is going to be indigenous technology. And it's going to be a very wonderful development, especially if you take business to be coordinated between West Africa to North Africa, North Africa to Central Africa, and Central Africa to Southern Africa. So we have coordinating market, because the essence of bringing out this facility for trade is to begin to market the products at micro level to international level. And once we consolidate this, then there is possibility of having bigger gain. That is, the platform will give an opportunity to market our product beyond the shores continent of Africa.
Now we are talking about digital payments here, and we know that we have a lot of fintech players in Nigeria. But do you think they are really prepared? Do they really have the infrastructure? Are we really prepared? Talking about our fintech companies for this opportunity.
No. For fintech companies, we have the facilities. I don't want to mention them, but from the efficiency level, now a lot of work is being conducted online. And if you can have that facility, the infrastructure that can deliver those goods is the transport. And that is why this agreement or this trade area is going to have an additional value in transportation by linking the entire continent to rail station, and that will bring much closer values to different production from any economic zone. Let me give you an instance in North Africa, for instance, Egypt. The prospect of Egyptian gross domestic product is agriculture. So it is easy if we have a road network to market this product from the production zone to market zones. And through this platform, it is easy also to coordinate payment system, because you cannot move out resources without making payment. So what is more important is the payment platforms, which I'm happy that the Pan-Africa payment is on ground to coordinate payment system that has to do with the entire African continent, and that will give additional value, especially to the micro, to qualify to become medium, and from medium to become a manufacturing. So it's a cross process. Chinese economy, which is as large as the African economy, started by giving emphasis to micro, medium, and small enterprises, and then bringing out some support, that is some benefits in terms of tax relief, government incentives. So it is high time for the African soil to look into our production zones and also to look at the provisions that is available in the entire continent, and also to make good use of this window that has been offered by the Africa Continental Free Trade Area.
All right, thank you very much. What a huge opportunity. 3.5 trillion naira market is no joke at all. Thank you very much, usually, for joining us on news analysis this afternoon on PNB Television, Abuja.
Thank you, PNB. Thank you very much.
All right, we've been speaking with economist Yushua Aliyu this afternoon. And that wraps up on this bulletin. But before we go, let's quickly remind us of the headlines once more. NBA demands urgent action over Plateau killings. Netcom protests deportation of Nigerians from Mozambique. And violence erupts in South Africa over alleged Igbo king coronation. And from the foreign scene, we told you that Israel approves death penalty law for terror convicts amid global criticism. For more updates and in-depth analysis, follow Politics and Business Television.English on YouTube and Facebook. Connect with us on Instagram at PNBTV_English and TikTok at PNBTV_English. Remember to subscribe and stay informed. I'm Omike Joseph Matthew. Thanks for watching. See you soon.